Season will start on January the 7th and end on February the 15th, lasting 40 days in total, compared with the previous years. This year's spring travel peak flow and the peak of COVID-19 infection may overlap. It will be the most complex situation with the most uncertainty and challenges in recent years. It will be characterized as 3 big and 1 more. First, a big increase in passenger traffic. With faster implementation of downgraded COVID management measures to Category B, cross-regional movement will be unleashed. People's pent-up needs in the past 3 years for going back hometown for the new year, visiting families and friends, tourism and other travel needs will burst. The Spring Festival passenger flow will surge rapidly from a long-term low level, and the once underload transport organization will run at full capacity. Based on our preliminary assessment, the spring rush will see about 2.095 billion passenger trips in total, an increase of 99.5% over the same period last year, recovering to 70.3% of the same period in 2019, which was 2.98 billion passenger trips. If we look at the composition of passenger flow, it is expected that the family visits account for about 55%, work travels account for about 24%, and tourism and business travels account for about 10%. Since students of many colleges and universities are already in winter holidays, their return travels account for a relatively small percentage. The proportion of self-driving cars, intercity carpooling, customized passenger transport, and other ways of transportation will further increase. The average daily flow of highway minibuses is about 26.2 million, a year-on-year increase of 3.6%. From the distribution of time and space, it is expected that before the Spring Festival, people mainly flow from major cities to neighboring cities to major labor source provinces, accompanied by the flow of people for family visits and work migration. The passenger flow will be more intense. After the holiday, people mainly flow from labor source provinces and small and medium-sized cities to central cities, and the passenger flow will be relatively staggered. And around January the 27th and February the 6th, we will see 2 return travel peaks. Second, a big increase in freight demand. In previous years, the spring rush is generally characterized by increased passenger flow and decreased cargo flow. For this year's Spring Festival, the COVID-19 infection peak has not yet passed, and the transportation needs for epidemic response supplies, holiday and daily necessity supplies, and energy, food, and other key materials will have a big increase this winter and next spring. Especially small and medium-sized cities and rural areas may have weaker conditions of logistics, and besides, due to frontline workers returning home and possible widespread infection, there may be a shortage of staff. So some local areas may face distribution problems at the terminal stage. The coordination for smooth spring rush passenger service and transport logistics is under great pressure. Third, a big risk of infection for frontline workers. During this Spring Festival, with intense movement of people and frequent freight logistics activities, the fast flow of people and goods may be compounded by the successive infection peaks in different localities, and the risk of large-scale infection of frontline transport workers may increase sharply. In ensuring uninterrupted passenger services and freight logistics chains, we also face greater pressure. Fourth, there are more operation safety risks and hidden dangers. Since 2020, due to the repeated impact of COVID-19, transportation has faced a complex situation with the overlapping security risks and epidemic-derived risks. In particular, the industry has been operating under load for quite a long time, during which the transportation vehicles were not up and running or much less frequently used. Practitioners may become rusty in their skills. In addition, the turn of a year tends to be a period of high incidence of safety accidents, and low temperature, cold wave, rain, snow, freeze, and other bad weather conditions are more frequent during the spring season, bringing greater challenges to operation safety management. We in the transport sector at all levels need to make more painstaking efforts to strengthen safety management, make effective response to emergencies, and prevent major and serious accidents so as to ensure safety travel for our people. I need to particularly mention that there are more uncertainties in this Spring Festival travel season, and it is difficult to build on experience of the past year and make assessment. And to date, the competition, flow direction, and other predictions are based on the current situation. And we made such an assessment to be fully prepared and mindful of the difficulties based on the bottom line thinking, and be better prepared and deliver better services so that we will ensure the COVID response as well as the transportation services. Based on the developments of the COVID infection and the weather changes, we will have a dynamic assessment and make timely adjustment to the various preparation work. In the face of the above-mentioned challenges, the CPC Central Committee and the State Council put forward 3 clear requirements, namely to meet people's travel needs, to reduce the risk of epidemic transmission, and to provide safe and convenient services. The central leadership has given clear instructions and made specific requirements on multiple occasions. Transportation departments at all levels have made full preparations based on the highest standards, the strictest requirements, and the most concrete measures. At the national level, with the approval of the Joint Prevention and Control Mechanism of the State Council, a special task force for spring travel season under the joint mechanism has been set up, led by the Ministry of Transport, with the participation of 16 ministries and departments. The task force has issued a series of documents, such as the Notice on Strengthening Epidemic Control and Transportation Service Support for the Spring Travel Season, and formulated a series of specific measures, such as the Spring Travel COVID-19 Prevention and Control Guidelines, and held national teleconferences for systemic deployment. All localities and relevant departments have also made specific arrangements accordingly. At present, the various preparatory work is basically underway. Every year, the Spring Festival travel season is a big test for the transport sector, and this year's test may be even more difficult. General Secretary Xi Jinping has repeatedly observed that it is in big and difficult challenges that we see one's sense of responsibility. All of us in the transport sector are fully aware of the significance and importance of doing a good job in this year's spring travel rush. We will take the work of this year's spring travel as an important test of the results of our implementation of the spirit of the 20th National Congress of the CPC, and bring out the utmost capability, best state, and the best services to deliver smooth and safe travel for our people, and ensure the first kilometer and last kilometer of transportation logistics are unimpeded and orderly. With the dedication and the drive and fortitude to brave difficulties, we will deliver our due contribution for people to enjoy a happy and smooth Spring Festival. That's all of my briefing, and next my colleagues and I would be happy to answer your questions. Thank you, Mr. Xu. Now the floor is open for questions. Please identify your media affiliation before raising your question. Thank you. From China Media Group. Tomorrow will mark the opening of the Spring Festival travel season of this year, and we expect a big increase of the passenger flow this year. How will the transportation sector ensure the orderly and staggered travel of our people? Thank you for your question. Just now, as we already mentioned, I brief you on the passenger flow and direction. It is expected there will be a significant increase of population movement during the Spring Festival season. It will almost double, and it will be about the same level, about the 70.3% of 2019. And first of all, we are catered to people's needs and bottom line thinking. And based on the focus of the various extreme cases, we are fully prepared and have a on-demand input and make timely response. We are fully capable to ensure the smooth and sound travel of our people, and we have 4 specific measures. First, we will strictly implement the various measures for people's travel. Based on the relevant policies of the State Council, we will implement the improved COVID-19 response measures and treat the COVID-19 as a Category B disease measures in a scientific and well-conceived manner. And we will implement the specific COVID response policies in the railway, highway, waterway, civil aviation, and other areas. And the special task force will also enhance guidance and deployment for the relevant agencies. For the family visitors, we will have flexible and staggered holiday schedules to ease the pressure on the travel rush. For migrant workers, we will properly specify the time they leave for holiday and the time they return to work to guide staggered return to hometowns and jobs. For students, we will make improvement for the time of school opening and holidays to stagger their trips. And for travelers or tourists, we will set a reasonable cap on receiving of tourists to guide the orderly flow of tourists. Second, we will ensure the transportation services support. In running time, organization, coordination, and resource mobilization, we will better coordinate to relieve big travel rush and ensure the unimpeded travel of the passengers. For the massive flow of workers and students, we will provide group services and door-to-door services and organize chartered vehicle transportation where conditions are in place, and to ensure the staggered and orderly return to hometowns, schools, and workplaces. For the needs to visit families and go into fairs in the rural areas, we will increase vehicle frequencies, expand the transportation lines, and lengthen the operation times to provide better services. Third, we will improve the passenger services measures. Based on people's needs, we will try to deliver better experience of transportation, enhance information sharing and synergy between different transportation means to increase the efficiency of passenger transfers and improve the ticket selling services, issue relevant information, and extend the pre-sale period of tickets to provide more convenience. We will open ticket selling windows, terminals, and security check passages, and expand the coverage of paperless and contactless services. We will provide better care to people in need, such as the elderly, children, people with disabilities, etc., and improve the accessibility facilities. Fourth, we will enhance traffic monitoring of the road networks and closely follow the traffic flows around provinces, major cities, and important scenic spots, and guide the self-driving travelers to properly choose the routes, time, and destinations, and space out their travels. We will ensure the services in express ways, the service areas, and the navigation channels and ship locks, and to provide refilling, charging, dining, and restroom services to the travelers. And since the COVID-19 infection is not over yet, and some places are still in the infection peak, although people have a fervent hope of returning home to visit their friends and families, we still encourage everyone to make reasonable travel plans based on their situation, particularly elderlies with underlying conditions and families with pregnant moms and children are advised to reduce travel as much as possible to reduce the infection risks. And for the choice, for those who choose to go home on public transportation, please enhance self-health protection and wear masks all the time and avoid going out with infection. Next question. Thank you from Pompai.
What is the Civil Aviation Department's forecast for the operation of civil aviation during this year's spring rush? What preparations have been made for the flight safety? Mr. Wan Sangdong, you have the floor. The 2023 spring rush is the first of its kind since the full implementation of measures to improve the COVID-19 prevention and control and treat COVID-19 as a Category B disease. It is expected that the traffic will quickly increase. The average daily number of passenger flights during the travel rush will be 11,000, 73% of the number during the travel rush in 2019. It is expected that passengers will choose to return home and travel off-peak during the travel rush. But there will still be travel peaks around the Spring Festival holiday and after the Lantern Festival. Based on the number we have, the peak booking period will start from January the 18th to January the 20th. Routes from Beijing Sanya, Shanghai Beijing, Beijing Haikou, Shenzhen Kunming, Shenzhen Chongqing, Hangzhou Kunming, Shenzhen Chengdu have the highest booking volume. The CAAC have made scientific flight plans while securing the bottom line of safety. First, we will encourage airlines to make arrangements to meet the people's needs for traveling, especially those from Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou to Sanya, Haikou, Chengdu, and Chongqing. Second, airports are required to increase contact with Spring Festival transportation agencies of local governments, inform the local authorities in advance of night flights, passenger numbers, and other information, and ensure smooth connection at the last mile. On top of the 593,200 scheduled passenger flights, more than 10,000 flights have been added to this volume. By doing so, we can effectively ensure the travel needs of passengers in key areas for popular routes. In terms of aviation services, we will follow the people-centered development philosophy and the requirement of sincere service to enhance people's sense of security, gain, and happiness, and ensure passenger services during the spring rush. First, by taking full account of the market, weather, and other factors, we will further improve flight scheduling and reduce the negative impact of flight cancellations and delays on passenger travel. Second, we will take rigorous COVID prevention control measures and reduce gathering and provide contactless services for the passengers and conduct health monitoring on frontline workers and to clean and disinfect the environment so that passengers can travel safely. Third, we will provide better services on board and on the ground and provide more care for passengers with special needs, such as the disabled, the elderly, and unaccompanied children, so as to create a civilized, warm, and harmonious travel environment. Fourth, by increasing lines and personnel, we will improve the answering rate of customer service calls and timely handle all kinds of demands. Thank you. Next question, please. China Transport News.
Thank you for your question. Mr. Huang Xin will answer this question. And this year, the China State Radio Group will implement the relevant requirements of the CPC Central Committee and put people first to better coordinate COVID response and travel organization and better coordinate development and security to improve the travel arrangements and building on the good practices in the past. In different links of ticket purchasing, waiting, and boarding, we will have more measures to provide convenience for our people to deliver a better, smooth, and safe experience of our travelers. And we will arrange our transportation services in a well-conceived and targeted way, and better coordinate the resources of the newly opened stations and trains to enhance the overall synergy of the road network. And we will be responsive to the transportation needs. In terms of orderly travel, we will foster a healthy and safe travel environment. We will earnestly implement the measures and regulations on COVID response and security management, and have a strict control of the occupation rates of the trains, and enhance ventilation and sanitation, and enhance the reminder and alert services, and guide the passengers to wear masks throughout the boarding. In terms of services, we will have measures for the convenience of the people in 3 areas. First, to improve the ticket purchasing, we will improve the functions of the 12306 system and expand the coverage of e-tickets. And for payments upon arrival and payments for station extension, we will also roll out the e-tickets. And we will cancel the limits for students to purchase the discounted tickets. Every year they can use the discounted tickets 4 times at any time of the year. And due to force majeure, the returning of tickets due to force majeure, particularly for the connection tickets, the connection tickets can be refunded as well without charging the returning fees. And we will not charge the formality fees for the travelers. And we will provide greater discount for the passengers. So, in terms of traveling, in the over 2,300 EMU trains, we will provide smooth travel QR code services. And by scanning the QR code, people will be able to have the information of the punctuality, the connection trains, and other services. And they can also order meal online, etc. And we will also improve the services of alerts and reminders. For those who gave us the contact information accurately, we will send them the relevant travel information for them to better arrange their travel. And for the transit services, people are very cares about the transit services very much. We have expanded the convenient transfer stations from 80 to 100, and to improve their efficiency of transfer so that it will be more convenient for the passengers. Thank you. Thank you from China Daily. We have noticed that recently, many places have witnessed the backlog of parcels and delivery mails. I wish to ask the Post Bureau about this specific measure to improve this situation. Mr. Chen Kai will take up this question. Thank you for your question. As you mentioned, since the mid of December last year, in some cities, the delivery persons were infected by COVID-19 successively, and some distribution centers and operation sites could not operate normally due to understaffing. And for the terminal delivery and the handle of the parcels, it has great impact. And also, due to the inefficiency of logistics flow, some operation networks have become less efficient, and there was some backlog of the express delivery. As you know, the express delivery has the feature of full process, and one protracted link may affect the overall network. And people may feel that the express delivery were slower. In response to this problem, the State Post Bureau attaches great importance and makes timely response. To remove the impediments to express delivery, we establish a daily coordination mechanism and make thorough arrangement to increase the smooth circulation of logistics and normal operation. And we have mainly done our work in the 4 aspects. First, to enhance the network services support. We urge the courier companies to take on social responsibilities and reduce the scenarios of stop of services, and to reduce the inefficiency of courier of package receiving. The courier companies have formulated working plans and response plans based on the COVID situation in different stages and different places to properly mobilize forces and ensure normal functioning of this industry. Second, we will enhance the replenishment of companies to focus on the important materials, key areas, and key links. By hiring temporary workers, regional adjustment, and faster return to work and other measures, we work to maintain the service capacity of the companies. Third, we enhanced health protection of the couriers. In terms of vaccines, testing agents, drugs, and N95 masks, we have provide greater support to the courier man. And Shanghai, Jiangsu, and other provinces also provide subsidies for those still on duty. Fourth, we work faster to relieve the backlog of parcels. We urge the companies to better organize personnel arrangement and be prepared for the possible increase of the backlog of parcels, and guide the companies to speed up the circulation at the terminal and improve the delivery lines and increase night delivery and other measures to effectively relieve the backlog of parcels. Through our efforts over the past period, 94% of couriermen are on duty by yesterday, and the backlog of parcels have been decreasing compared to the previous stages. Particularly in the first 5 days of this year, the daily figure, there are already 370 million pieces of parcels being handled every day, an increase of 16.7% compared to last year. Going forward, we will continue to build up on this foundation to ensure the smooth supply of materials to meet people's needs. As COVID-19 infection development changes in different places, we will further urge the relevant companies to properly address the punctuality and efficiency of delivery services and properly handle the complaints and disputes to meet people's needs for the logistics services. Next question. Thank you from Phoenix TV. I wish to ask the Civil Aviation Administration, what are the arrangements for the flights to Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan during the spring travel season? Will there be a big increase? Thank you for your question. The CAAC attaches great importance to the lines between the mainland to Hong Kong and Macau and Taiwan, and we have in 2012 and in 2022 we have issued and renewed 16 operation permits to flights air routes to Hong Kong and 3 operation permits to air routes to Macau. And by January the 5th, we have approved of 12,956 flights to Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan, covering 182 air routes, and 27 airlines will arrange 2,275 passenger flights to Hong Kong and Macau. And take Pudong Airport, for example, based on the flight arrangement for the next stage from January the 8th to the 31st in Pudong Airport, the daily flights to Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan will be 30, and 10 to Hong Kong, 8 to Taiwan, and 12 to Macau, a big increase compared with the previous year. And we believe this figure will continue to increase. Thank you. It is
封面 news. It is expected that the flow of passengers will increase this year, and how will the transport authorities to ensure passenger safety and emergency response? Thank you for your question. Safety of passengers has always been the top priority of our work during the spring rush. This year's spring rush will witness accelerated growth of flow of passengers and goods. The COVID-19 situation continues to change, and also there will be high incidence of extreme winter weather and natural disasters, and this will pose some challenges to us. We have already made systemic arrangements for ensuring transportation safety. And next step, we will pay close attention to weather changes, focus on the people, vehicles, and roads, and take into account the developments of the COVID-19 situation. And we will take multiple measures and work with competent departments to ensure travel safety during the spring rush. First, we will strengthen the supervision, the maintenance and inspection of the equipment. We will urge transport enterprises to strictly implement the requirements of production safety and carry out comprehensive inspection and maintenance of passenger cars, ships, and other vehicles to be put into the spring rush. And avoid the transportation undertaken by problematic vehicles. Second, we will take measures to advise the transport enterprises to train the personnel that will be on duty during the spring rush. At the same time, we will also tighten the requirements for the drivers on duty during the spring rush. If their health conditions cannot meet the requirements, they will not be allowed to work. Third, we will have dynamic monitoring of the vehicles. We will implement dynamic monitoring of the vehicles on the road and to punish violations of regulations and laws on road. As for the roads that cannot meet the requirements for traveling, we will stop the operation to avoid risky driving. We will ensure safety on key sections. For example, on long downward roads and bridges and channels, we will strengthen our supervision, and we will have dynamic monitoring of these kind of sections and make reasonable plans accordingly. If there is severe weather such as fog and cold wave, we will take emergency response, timely remove snow and ice, and restore road conditions as soon as possible. We also provide better services for passengers in terms of health. We will set up a health booths and provide relevant services and medicines and places to rest for drivers on the road. We don't suggest drivers who have symptoms to drive on the road, but if they show any symptoms, they can receive they can have some medicines and take some rest at the booth nearest to them. And once they have some rest, they can drive more safely. We will also strengthen on-duty arrangement and emergency response. During the travel rush, transportation departments will strictly implement the 24/7 on-duty arrangement. And in case of emergencies, they can coordinate and command emergency handling according to the plans. We will also advise relevant departments to provide hot water and food for the passengers so that we can improve people's sense of gain. And in rural areas, people are more likely to return to their hometown and visit their relatives and friends. So the transportation authorities will work harder to ensure transport capacity and effectively ensure safe and convenient travel for those people. And we will strengthen maintenance and inspection of key sections and roads. And I also want to suggest that rural people are advised to choose the licensed cars and fasten seatbelt and refuse unlicensed driving. Of course, we will always work to ensure driving safety. And let us work together to make sure that this year's Spring Festival travel rush is safe and smooth, and people can have a happy Spring Festival. Thank you.
My question is, what is the progress on the work to ensure smooth logistics and how to ensure efficient and orderly conveyance of medical and livelihood supplies? Thank you for your question. For this year's Spring Festival travel season, we have made full preparation, both in terms of ensuring smooth logistics and the efficient orderly conveyance of key supplies. And we established a State Council leading group and a special task force. We have two mechanisms to ensure the overall coordination and deployment. With regard to transportation and logistics, to date, the artery and micro-circulation of transportation and logistics are overall smooth. And the main indicators of logistics have shown steady increase. And the conveyance of the various key materials are safe and orderly. We are fully capable to ensure the conveyance of the various supplies. That said, recently people have a significant need for the COVID-related drugs, COVID antigen reagent, masks and vaccines, and other medical supplies. In response to such needs, the State Council Working Group Office, as a work a priority work for the current stage are increasing coordination and deployment to make all our effort to ensure the smooth and orderly conveyance of medical supplies. First, we match supply and demand and stay responsive to people's needs. In light of the COVID infection developments, we keep a timely track of the transportation needs for the key medical materials nationwide and urge the relevant transportation departments across the nation to get in touch with the 268 designated key supply companies to ensure the supply of medical supplies and make company-specific plans for this purpose. For example, we made tailor-made plans for Shunfeng and the Shijiazhuang drug company for Lianhua Qingwen to ensure the zero backlog of the drug delivery. And we also made timely coordination for Anhui Fenyuan Drug Company and Shanxi Fenhe Drug Company to address their needs for drug conveyance. Second, we work to ensure efficient transportation and smooth and orderly logistics of medical supplies. Medical supplies have higher demands for punctuality and precise delivery. We establish a daily coordination mechanism for medical supplies and enhance coordination for key companies and key places to ensure the timely delivery of the medical supplies. At the same time, we earnestly implement the policy for the free and priority passing of vehicles carrying COVID-19 vaccines to ensure the safe and efficient conveyance of vaccines. Third, we focus on the smooth terminal circulation to ensure the delivery of materials. In response to the impeded delivery due to understaffing at some cities, we made timely deployment and urge the timely replenishment of courier staffing to open delivery networks as much as possible and deliver medical COVID response materials on a priority basis to make smooth delivery. Going forward, we'll focus on the needs of medical supplies and better match supply with demand and ensure the highly efficient and smooth delivery at the terminals. First, we will be fully responsive to the medical supplies and guide the key logistics companies to touch base with the medical supply producing companies to properly address the needs for the conveyance of medical supplies. Second, we make all our efforts to enhance transportation organization and coordination and guide the logistic companies to make special support plans for the spring travel season. And for example, we have rolled out measures such as staggered holiday schedules and subsidies, etc., to encourage the frontline workers to continue to be on duty during the festival season to ensure uninterrupted delivery services. Third, we do our best to smooth out the delivery network at the terminals and guide the companies to improve the contingency delivery plans and enhance better staffing arrangement, particularly for the medium-sized and small cities and rural areas to ensure uninterrupted logistics chain during the Spring Festival season. transportation and logistics concerns people's livelihood and the overall stability of employment and prices. While doing a good job in the medical supplies transportation, we will also ensure the smooth artery and microcirculation of transportation and logistics, and focus on the support for key materials such as energy, food, vegetables, poultry, eggs, and other products to ensure people's need for this winter. And I wish to remind the drivers, dear friends, if you encounter any problem of impediments, or if our relevant supply companies have difficulties in terms of logistics transportation, please call the service number nationwide when we will make issue-specific coordination to address your concerns. Thank you.
Beijing News. This year's Spring Festival will be a big test for some newly built railways. What preparations have been made? And can the current transportation capacity meet this year's travel demand? Thank you for your question. This year's Spring Rush is the first of its kind after the central government improved and adjusted the COVID prevention policy. People's travel needs will undergo some big changes compared with the previous years. The pre-sale of the tickets for 2023 Spring Rush started from December the 24th of 2022, and according to the current ticket sales, the demand has increased markedly, and the railway passenger flow is gradually recovering. And to ensure transportation capacity for Spring Rush, we have implemented the principles of sufficient arrangement, on-demand operation, quick response, and preparation for emergencies. Before the holiday, 6,077 round trips of passenger trains and with 9.04 million passenger seats can be scheduled to operate every day. And after the holiday, 6,107 round trips will be arranged to operate every day. That is 11% higher than that in 2019, which can help us better meet the travel demands of passengers. And you mentioned the newly built railways. And on that, we will mainly focus on the following. First, we will make good use of new railway lines, stations, and equipment. Last year, China put into operation 4,100 kilometers of new railway lines, 2,082 kilometers of which are high-speed railway, thus further improving the accessibility and coverage of the railway network. During the travel rush, we will fully leverage the advantages of the network high-speed railway, especially the Zhengzhou-Chongqing High-Speed Railway, Huzhou-Hangzhou High-Speed Railway, Yinchuan-Lanzhou High-Speed Railway, the Beijing-Tangshan Intercity Railway, and the new Chengdu-Kunming Railway, and the Fengtai Station in Beijing. We will also make good use of the advanced equipment such as Fuxing bullet trains and the Beijing-Wuhan section that allows an operational speed of 350 kilometers per hour. And by doing so, we can improve the transportation capacity. Second, we will increase transport capacity in key areas and time periods before the holiday. In Beijing, Shanghai, Nanjing, Hangzhou, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, and other areas with heavy passenger flow, a daily average of 1,623.5 round trips will be arranged, an increase of 34.5 year-on-year. After the holiday, in Chengdu, Chongqing, Wuhan, Nanchang, and Wuhan and other areas, 814.5 round trips will be arranged every day, an increase of 18 year-on-year. 135 round trips of night trains will be arranged, an increase of 14 year-on-year. At the same time, we will maintain regular speed passenger trains as necessary and continue to run public welfare slow trains to meet the basic travel needs of people in remote areas. Third, we will establish an emergency response mechanism for sudden passenger flow. Based on the pre-sale and standby data of 12306, the population movements will be analyzed and so as to accurately arrange the transport capacity and match transport capacity and demand. And based on the sales of the ticket, people from the Pearl River basin and the Yangtze River basin will travel more likely to travel. And so next step, we will make every effort to ensure their travel needs, to meet their travel needs. And in order to cope with the sudden passenger flow, a certain number of trains and crew members will be reserved at major hubs so that they can work at any time. Thank you. Next question, please. Beijing Youth News. Just now, the State Post Bureau talked about the logistics issue, and my question is, the Spring Festival is the peak of traveling home, but also a trove of express service. Will there be a shortage of courier in civil aviation, express delivery, and other industries? What are the solutions? The Spring Festival holiday. During the Spring Festival holiday, a large number of people are returning home or traveling on a tour. People's demand for express delivery services will decrease significantly. In the previous years, our delivery services is only 15% of the normal delivery services. Despite so, we still believe that we are at a critical stage of improving the COVID-19 protocols. People still have a large demand for medicines, anti-COVID supplies, and basic living necessities. And thus ensuring their needs during the Spring Festival rush is critically important for serving economic and social development and under the new circumstances of COVID-19 development. And in light of this, our Bureau has formulated a work plan for postal express industry to ensure delivery services during the 2023 Spring Festival and made special arrangements. And basically, we will focus on the following 4 areas. First, we will maintain normal order of express delivery services. We will leverage effective market and urge postal enterprises to continue to provide services. We will advise the major delivery enterprises to provide services. And we will urge them to announce the plans for delivery during the Spring Festival and to still retain certain delivery stations to continue to provide services to the people. Second, we will ensure delivery services for Spring Festival Shopping Festival and work with the Ministry of Commerce to launch relevant activities. We will advise enterprises to make reasonable arrangements for production during the festival and timely announce service arrangements and strictly fulfill their commitments. We will urge the enterprises to strengthen the connection with upstream e-commerce enterprises and predict the changes in demand during the festival so that they can reasonably arrange their human resources, transportation capacity, etc. And we now have 18 over 10 million delivery demand. And in terms of such large demand, we have still played a good role in meeting their demand. Third, we will ensure the delivery of medical supplies. The General Office of the Ministry of Commerce issued the notice on jointly ensuring the supply and distribution of medical materials, instructing delivery enterprises to make special marks on medical materials and give priority to their delivery. Fourth, we will effectively protect the legitimate rights and interests of couriers. Years ago, President Xi Jinping visited a place in Beijing and to see the couriers there. He said that the couriers worked day and night and worked even harder during the vacations, and they are like bees. They are the most industrious workers. General Secretary Xi Jinping has always cared a lot for the couriers and made special instructions. And one of them is to launch campaigns during the Spring Festival for them. We will urge delivery enterprises to make arrangements for the rest and leave of on-duty employees and to give overtime pay to on-duty employees and ensure their basic living. And recently, many express delivery enterprises have announced their operation plans during the Spring Festival. We will urge them to fulfill their commitments and to strive to ensure the quality of delivery services during the Spring Festival. Thank you. In the interest of time, I will please, this is the last question. South Metropolitan Post. As hundreds of millions of people will be traveling, how will China cope with the virus transmission during the Spring Festival travel rush? What specific measures will be taken? Thank you for your question. The question you raised is very important. The biggest uncertainty during this year's travel rush is the COVID protocols. So, COVID prevention and control is key of this year's spring rush. During the spring rush, the flow of people and goods will increase, and people will have frequent interactions, which increases the risk of infection. In view of these situations and the measures to treat COVID-19 as a Category B disease, the Special Task Force for Spring Festival Travel Rush has issued a guideline on COVID-19 prevention and control and a guideline on providing services during the spring rush. We will guide local governments to strengthen whole chain governance in accordance with the guidelines and transport workers to implement the measures and provide guidance for passengers to protect themselves well so as to ensure an effective and smooth transition and the stable and orderly operation of transport during the Spring Festival. First, we will do a better job at organizing and guiding the passenger flow. We will disinfect and ventilate the environment, especially at the terminals and the security check and ticket check. We will guide the public to queue in an orderly manner and encourage dispersed seating when conditions permit. And we'll also increase the transportation capacity to reduce gathering. Second, we will enhance people's awareness of COVID prevention during travel. Everyone is responsible for their own health. We encourage the public to avoid areas with higher rates of COVID-19 and reduce transport in those areas. And we will persuade people who have not ruled out the risk of infection or show symptoms to take in public transport, especially those who show symptoms of fever. And we will guide passengers to improve their awareness of personal protection when traveling. For example, when taking public transport, they are advised to wear masks throughout the journey and reduce gathering. Third, we will encourage the use of contactless services. We will advise the public operators to improve their ticketing services by promoting online purchasing, e-ticket, self-service ticket check, etc. Expand the scope of paperless and contactless services. And we will work faster to streamline railway, civil aviation, and urban rail transit security procedures and their connection, so as to reduce transfer waiting time and improve transfer efficiency. Fourth, we will strengthen health management of relevant employees. We will urge transport operators to enhance health monitoring, report the case if fever and other symptoms appear, and stop operations immediately, and when necessary, carry out antigen and nucleic acid tests. And they are advised to strengthen personal protection, wear a mask, and ensure hand hygiene. As for frontline employees in public hubs, terminals, express service areas, and toll stations with more contact with people and higher passenger flow, they are advised to take a point-to-point commute and wear N95 masks. Fifth, we will strictly implement prevention measures at airports and stations. For example, at transport terminals, express service areas, toll stations, and vehicles, we will advise them to disinfect and ventilate the environment and increase the frequency of disinfection and ventilation in severely affected areas. Passenger vehicles should open windows for ventilation as appropriate. 6. We will strengthen the prevention and treatment of large-scale infection among employees. We will apply strict and prudent requirements for drivers to ensure that their physical conditions are competent for safe driving. We will implement a rotation and standby system for key posts and the transregional personnel and transport capacity allocation mechanism to prepare for the possible large-scale infection and ensure orderly personnel replacement and continued service. We cannot afford to halt the services during the spring rush if there is any personnel falling ill. And we also want to advise the families, advise the operators to provide medical services and medicines for the passengers on the road. Going forward, we will closely follow the developments of COVID-19 situation in different regions and make dynamic adjustments in light of time and situation, and provide guidance for local governments in coordinating COVID prevention and control and transport services. Thank you. That's the end of today's press conference. You can always contact us if you have any question. Thank you all.